starting into it. This field is really an enormous field for this century, particularly taking machine intelligent, computer-based intelligent systems, getting them to drive biological bodies around, such as with the human, getting a machine intelligence to drive different parts of human biological functions, getting a biological form of intelligence, like we're doing with neurons driving a robot around. That's tremendously exciting. And one thing we found with our biological brain, okay, we've got it driving this robot around and it's taking sensory input, ultrasonic signals, it's driving the wheels of the robot, fine. Then we take out this biological brain, we put it in the incubator, so it's not actually driving the robot around, but it's still firing. The neurons are still sending signals to each other. What are they doing? What is this brain thinking about? And you immediately get into more philosophical concepts. This biological brain that is now sitting in the incubator is actually sending signal within the brain. And what is it thinking? Is it thinking, what am I doing in the incubator? Or has it got deep philosophical thoughts? Or is it still thinking about some of the signals it was sending to the robot wheels? So it's a tremendously exciting field that isn't just technological and isn't just biological. It affects all different aspects of science.
Indeed, it's about, I think it's more about actually mankind understanding and defining what life is overall. And with the tools, if you will, and technology that we have at hand right now, we can more, as you say, kind of get a more philosophical approach to all of this, that we're kind of slowly beginning to realize what life is, because in a sense I still feel that although we might call it artificial life, to some extent I don't think there is such a thing, because all life is life, no matter how you look at it, either if it's in algorithms within a machine or something that we kind of put together with genes or what have you. But an important part of all of this, of course, that I do want to touch upon a little bit is if we look at all the prominent warnings, if you will, from sci-fi lore, that a potential AI, for instance, creeps into all the controlled human systems that we have, and through acts of, self-preservation or simple errors, what have you, actually begins to in some way, go against the human beings. We even actually have people within the Singularity Institute, for instance, Aubrey de Grey, who's on the board there. He has actually warned about the negative side, if you will, of the singularity, that this might be a dangerous point that we're approaching as well. What's your take on all of this?
Oh, very much so. Well, in fact, we mentioned Cyborg before. I also had a book called March of the Machines, which looked at exactly this point. I think really taking, if you like, from the film The Terminator, in there was this intelligent network, Skynet, that decided not to listen to humans anymore. It was going to protect itself, look after itself, and move forwards itself. It would satisfy its own goals, and hence acted against humans. And I really think that a lot of the more dangerous aspects of machine intelligent forms that are being developed within the military domain, with autonomous fighter planes. I don't know how many people realize that many of the world's fighter planes now that are used in combat do not have human pilots on board.
Right.
And there is a drive towards, by about 2020, that being the case within the United States, that being completely the case. So there is no human pilots at all anymore. It's all autonomous fighter planes. Once you link those with a network, if you have a human deciding on the mission, pressing the button to send the plane, well, okay, you've still got some human control. But as happened with Skynet, it became, which was a fictional tale, as it were, for the moment. So you've got a machine deciding on the mission as well. You've got a machine saying, you go there and do that. And then the autonomous machine, the autonomous fighter plane, went ahead and did it. And I think, realistically, there will be considerable pressure for the human who presses the button to be replaced by a machine, for the Skynet type of eventuality to come about. So I really see Terminator as one example as being something that is quite forward-looking and a potential future. Not necessarily Arnold Schwarzenegger robots moving around, that sort of thing, but certainly the basic concept of an intelligent machine network ultimately taking over, we have to see as a realistic possibility. And that was what I was looking at in my book, March of the Machines.
Very interesting. And just on a kind of a curious side note, if you will, I don't know if you know it or not, but actually the UK, the Ministry of Defense, their military satellite network is actually called Skynet. Did you know that?
I do know. I couldn't believe it. There we go.
Yep.
It's terrible. No, I think when you're looking at some aspects of machine intelligence, this concept of a machine being programmed and it always does what we want it to do and so on, I mean, you have to completely scrap those ideas. As soon as you've got some form, machine intelligence, and you allow it to learn, and it adapts what it does dependent on what it's learning, once you allow something to learn, it can come up with its own way of doing something, even bringing about its own drivers, its own goals. And if you've got some element of self-preservation, which almost surely in a military scenario you have, it's going to move away from something that's trying to destroy it. It's going to try and protect itself. That's part of the makeup. And you then link in its learning in terms of dealing with targets. Very, very quickly it starts to become dangerous, not only to the enemy, but ultimately dangerous to the people that brought it about in the first place.
But I mean, what kind of discussion do we need to have here then? Because I mean, at this point, the DoD, the DARPA in the United States, the MOD in the UK, they are doing tremendous amounts of research within these types of fields, and you know, in many cases they have developed, you know, robotic exoskeletons. They're into basically replacing the normal soldier with a kind of cyborg / even full up robotic soldier. And I mean, what prevents this from this stage from actually taking off if they're in these labs and producing this stuff today?
Well, I mean, I would say whilst it is purely physical research, if it's a gun that's a bit bigger, or if it's an exoskeleton that is just operating externally on some physical movement, in a way, I would say it doesn't matter so much. I mean, it's not particularly nice, but once you're messing around with intelligence of some kind, and particularly with machine intelligence, which is not fully understood, then it starts to get very dangerous. But in terms of what can we do, I mean, maybe it's fatalistic, but I say, well, I don't know there's anything we can do. Either society as a whole, we would have to change and say, no, it's not. We're not going to allow the military to push things forward in this way, because I would see that they are looking at a very short time scale. They're going to say, okay, we need to develop this so it outperforms the competition. So we will put a little bit more intelligence in. We will get our system to think a little bit more quickly, to take in a few more signals to make its decision. The opposition does the same. We will then develop our system to be a little bit more powerful. And so it goes until that element of intelligence is put in there that the system itself decides that it will not let the human switch it off, power down, whatever it is. Even if the human could do it now, which, as I said before, with the internet we can't switch that off now. So I think in a way it is our military would be like walking towards the edge of a cliff. This is the cliff being intelligence in this case, and at some stage they'll put a little bit more intelligence than is good for us all into a system, and then it will be too late.
Well, I mean, that's not a good scenario you're presenting there.
No, not at all.
I mean,
and hence a little bit of my cyborg research of trying to upgrade human capabilities is trying to act as a defensive setup. Rather than having intelligent machines acting against us, well, let's upgrade what we have got so that when they do get a bit nasty and do things we don't like, at least as cyborgs we will be able to stay in some sort of dominant position.
Oh my
Even
God.
if it means for humans, well, that's a bit tough.
Oh, I mean, what you're presenting there is basically the resistance is futile from the Borg. You're saying that the only way to beat or combat a scenario like that is actually to, in some form, then merge with the machines in order to bridge that gap.
Exactly
Oh
that,
my
yeah.
God.
No,
Okay.
I really can't see. As you say, well, how do we go and stop military putting more, and as just one example, but putting more and more intelligence into systems until ultimately they put too much in?
Yeah.
I mean, we must be clear here as to why humans are in the powerful position we're in on Earth. And it's not because of our physical capabilities, it's because of our intellectual capabilities when we compare ourselves with other creatures. So if something comes along that intellectually outperforms us, okay, it might be some creature from outer space, but I doubt that's going to happen very much. It's possible, but I doubt it. More likely is something that we have actually constructed ourselves, and it will effectively, you could say, it evolves from us. Technology evolving from us, and we put too much intelligence into it, and if we do, and it will be a different form of intelligence that we can't fully understand, that outperforms our form of intelligence, then we've gone too far. So yes, if we can't beat that, then join with it in some way, merge with it, and hopefully stay in some powerful position doing that.
That is a really spooky scenario, actually. I think,
well,
anyway.
You've got to get ready yourself for this. So.
Oh my God! Because I mean, we can talk about, for instance, the three laws of robotics, for instance, of Isaac Asimov, as you mentioned before. But I mean, as he pointed out, much like in his iRobot, the adaptation, the film version of that actually fails, time and time again. But is there any way to kind of do or develop a system like that?
I mean, let's be clear with this. The Asimov 3 laws it's a story.
Of course.
And I'm amazed, still some people, I see it in some scientific work, there's the 3 laws as though robots have these 3 laws, or as though it's possible to put these 3 laws into robots. This is a joke. I mean, the 3 laws of robotics, it's purely Asimov, perhaps sensing that in years to come, if we have intelligent robots, they could be dangerous. So in a fictional story, putting these laws into the robot. In practice, what do we have? We have cruise missiles. Cruise missiles don't have Asimov's laws in them. You don't get a cruise missile that's heading toward to destroy the center of some city, and it's, there's some humans in the city, I can't blow up this city. What the cruise missile does is go and blow up the city. It does whatever it's designed to do, whatever it's set up to do.
Yeah.
So, there's just one quick example. And actually, how would you put... I mean, another example of a robot could be a robot hand that is connected to the body. That you see in the Rehab Institute in Chicago. Mm-hmm. They have robot arms connected to the muscles and linking up the nervous system signals to drive the bionic arm. This is for people that have lost their arm. Fantastic pieces of robot technology. So this robot arm, does it have Asimov's laws in it? So the person is trying to squeeze a tube of toothpaste, and it can squeeze a tube of toothpaste, but if they try and squeeze the trigger on a gun, no, Asimov's laws come into play, and the hand won't do that.
Right.
Of course, how do you put Asimov's laws? It's not. Of course, if they squeeze the trigger of the gun, the gun's going to go. It's going to shoot somebody, maybe. So, really, it's not practical. It's not realistic. It's just a fictional story.
Of course, yeah, you're absolutely right. But I mean, it's like. I mean, what do you actually believe then in regards to if we talk about a time frame here? Because potentially, if we think about it, there could actually already be an artificial type system online that's even scouring the web or whatever in order to learn more stuff or to grow in a way, and this could be